There is a $3 bag of gray mineral powder sitting on Amazon right now with 4.5 stars and 11,000 reviews. The videos promoting it have been watched over 60 million times. They promise your AC bill drops 40% by August. Every single one of them is wrong. And the energy industry, a $250 billion a year sector, has known exactly why they are wrong for 5 decades. They have never corrected the record, not once. Stay with me, because this is not a story about a useless rock. This is a story about a mineral that genuinely does something extraordinary, and an industry that allowed the wrong version of the story to spread because the wrong version keeps you buying $600 portable dehumidifiers every 3 years, instead of understanding the actual physics of what is happening inside your home. A solution this cheap cannot be sold in a bottle for $30. What cannot generate recurring revenue gets buried from public knowledge. They did not let this myth die because it failed. They let it live because it failed in the right direction. You are going to understand something today that your utility company has never mentioned to you, not once in a bill insert, not once in an email, where we excavate what the industry buried and hand it to you as a working solution for under $5. If this is your first time here, subscribe now. We open one vault at a time. What is inside the next one is even heavier than this. But stay here with me. The video is just getting started. Let us start with what is true. Zeolite is a crystalline mineral with a porous structure so precise it operates at the molecular level. The ancient Romans built water filtration systems using volcanic zeolite deposits over 2,000 years ago. The ancient Egyptians documented its desiccant properties in contexts that modern mineralogists have traced back at least 3,000 years. 2 great civilizations separated by an entire ocean, arriving at the same discovery, not by accident, because the material works. In the 1960s, Union Carbide synthesized the first commercial zeolites. By the 1980s, NASA engineers were specifying synthetic zeolite, specifically the 13X variant, for atmospheric moisture control in spacecraft cabins. Not a cloth bag, an engineered closed-loop system with thermal regeneration and directional exhaust. That distinction is going to matter enormously in about 90 seconds. Here is what zeolite does. Its crystalline structure adsorbs water vapor, not absorbs, adsorbs, pulling water molecules directly into its pore network with a measurable capacity of up to 22% of its own weight under controlled laboratory conditions. Here is what zeolite does not do: eliminate that moisture from your environment. Read that again. A passive zeolite bag adsorbs humidity until it saturates. In a humid American summer environment, Georgia, Florida, Texas, Louisiana, that saturation point is reached in hours, not days, hours. And once saturated, with no heat source and no directional exhaust pathway, the zeolite releases everything it captured back into the room air. You have not removed humidity from the system. You have temporarily relocated it inside a mineral and then returned it to the exact same room. The physics term for this is adsorption-desorption equilibrium. Your utility company knows this term very well. So why does every single camping store, every home goods retailer, and 60 million YouTube views tell you this works? The absence of a correction is not an accident. It is an economic position. Before I show you the actual mechanism and the 4 interventions that have documented evidence behind them, I need to tell you that the full breakdown of passive cooling and humidity control for off-grid living is inside the vault. Guides, materials lists, cost comparisons, the kind of information that cannot generate $5.57 billion a year in repeat purchase revenue, which is exactly why it's in here instead of on a product label. Subscribe, do not leave, because what comes next is the part they actually need you not to understand. Your air conditioner does not do one job. It does 2 simultaneously, and the energy industry has spent 50 years making sure you only think about one of them. Job 1 is what you see. It drops the air temperature. This is called the sensible load. You feel it. The thermostat measures it. Job 2 is invisible. It removes water vapor by forcing air across a cold evaporator coil, condensing moisture out of suspension and draining it. This is the latent load.
You never see the water, you never think about the electricity it consumed, and depending on where you live, it's consuming between 20 and 67% of your air conditioner's total electrical draw just to deal with water, not temperature.
Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory documented this breakdown across American climate zones. In a humid southern summer with outdoor relative humidity above 80%, the majority of your air conditioner's work is not cooling air, it is wringing water out of it. This is where the numbers become genuinely uncomfortable. The average American household in a humid climate zone spends $1,400 to $2,200 a year on cooling. If 50% of that load is latent humidity, that is $700 to $1,100 a year you are spending specifically on the water in your air, not the heat, the water. A $3 bag of saturated zeolite returning moisture to your living room is not solving that problem. It is creating the illusion of solving it for 4 hours on a Tuesday in June. A family in Phoenix spent $340 on zeolite bags over 2 summers. Their bill did not move, not a dollar, because the mechanism was wrong from the beginning, and the mechanism is what the industry needs you not to know. Here is where the story stops being about a mineral and starts being about a decision. The portable dehumidifier market in the United States alone generates $1.2 billion in annual retail sales. Global market projections have that number reaching $4.8 billion by 2031. Every unit runs on a compressor. Every compressor breaks. Every broken unit means a new purchase, recurring revenue, repeat purchase. The model works, not because the technology is irreplaceable, but because the customer never learns the alternative. You cannot patent moving air through a zeolite desiccant wheel with a heat source. You cannot patent opening a window at the right hour. You cannot patent the behavioral understanding of where humidity enters your home and when. What cannot generate profit gets buried from public knowledge. So why does every camping store sell you a $40 bag filter instead of teaching you this? The answer is not complicated. The answer is $4.8 billion. The General Services Administration has been specifying industrial desiccant dehumidification systems for federal buildings for 30 years. 30 years. The residential market received no equivalent guidance, not an advisory, not a pamphlet, nothing. I need you to sit with that for a moment. Your utility company sends you a bill every month. They have never once explained that nearly half of what you paid was for water removal, not temperature. Not once in an email, not once in a bill insert. The technology to reduce that load exists, has existed for decades, and costs between $0 and $150 to implement. This is what they did not bury because it failed. They buried it because it worked too well. These are not hacks. These are applications of the same latent load physics that HVAC engineers use when designing $200,000 commercial systems. The difference is the scale and the price. Intervention 1, source control. Cost, $0. The largest single source of indoor humidity in a conditioned space is ventilation with outdoor air during peak humidity hours. In a southern U.S. summer, outdoor relative humidity between noon and 6 p.m. regularly exceeds 75 to 85%. Every time that air enters a conditioned room, your air conditioner begins the condensation cycle again. Move ventilation windows to pre-dawn hours, 4 a.m. to 7 a.m., when outdoor relative humidity is measurably lower even in humid climates. Zero cost, documented thermodynamic impact. Intervention 2, exhaust fan protocol. Cost, $60 to $120. A shower introduces concentrated water vapor into your home's air volume. A bathroom exhaust fan running for 20 minutes after a shower removes that moisture load before it disperses into the conditioned space. This is the mechanical inverse of a zeolite bag. Instead of attempting to readsorb dispersed moisture with a passive mineral, you eliminate the source before the air conditioner encounters it. The electrical cost of running an exhaust fan for 20 minutes is approximately $0.003. The AC energy saved from not processing that humidity load is measurably larger. Mechanical dehumidifier with continuous drain. Cost,
$500 to $1,100. This is the residential application of the industrial principle that actually works. A mechanical dehumidifier with a continuous drain line removes water vapor, condenses it, and physically removes it from your home's air. It does not redistribute, it does not re-equilibrate, it exits through a drain. Studies suggest reducing the latent load on your air conditioner through supplemental dehumidification can lower total cooling system energy consumption by 20 to 35% in humid climate zones, depending on home construction, occupancy, and baseline humidity levels. Consult an HVAC professional before implementing to verify this applies to your specific setup and climate zone. $10 in behavioral change versus $600 in compressor equipment that breaks in 3 years and generates a repeat purchase. The industry has a strong preference for which one you choose. I need to be honest with you about one thing. Zeolite is not a fraud. The mineral is real, the adsorption capacity is real. In a sealed, climate-controlled environment with a proper regeneration cycle and directional exhaust, the way NASA engineers specified it, not the way a TikTok video shows it, zeolite-based desiccant systems are among the most energy-efficient dehumidification technologies documented. The science is legitimate. The bag hanging from your ceiling fan is not that system, and the 60 million people who watched those videos deserve to know the difference before they open their wallets. Humanity has understood the relationship between moisture and shelter for as long as we have built roofs. The Romans designed passive ventilation systems that managed interior humidity through architectural physics alone. No electricity, no compressors, no recurring purchases. The knowledge was never lost, it was made inconvenient. If you have made it this far, you already know how your air conditioner actually spends its electricity than 99% of the people who own one. The viral video exists because it found a real problem. Humidity is genuinely inflating your energy bill and attached a false solution to it. The false solution is easier to film, and more importantly, it does not threaten anyone's recurring revenue. Every share of this video is one more person who cannot be sold a $340 bag of saturated minerals. Every person who finds this information is one less customer for the product that replaced the knowledge. Subscribe. Share this with someone paying a cooling bill that should be lower. The next vault opens soon, and what is inside? Passive cooling systems that predate electricity by 4,000 years and that 3 American utility companies have actively lobbied against publishing in residential building codes is even heavier than this. What they made us forget is still waiting.